Welcome to CalmWaves, powered by MCTC, where we discuss people, ideas, changes that form the future of the maritime industry. I'm your host, RJ Ravindran. Now, at MCTC, one of our key goals and building blocks is sustainability. In today's episode, we focus exactly on sustainability and how it impacts our seafarers on board. Now, our guest today she is no stranger to when we use the word sustainability. She spent over 23 years as a social impact strategist, helping businesses, organizations to create sustainable strategies that actually make a change. So we are very honored today to have the founder and managing director of Grow, a Cyprus-based sustainability consulting firm here with us today. Ms. Irene Loucaides. Welcome.
The honor is all mine. Thank you for the kind invitation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Irene, for being here today. And to also join us today in this podcast, we have with us MCTC's Sustainability Officer, Ms. Eleni Kyriakou.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be part of this conversation today.
Perfect. So let's get right into it. Sustainability. When we talk about, sustainability, I think a lot of people associate it with the environment, with green agenda. But Irene, when we talk about sustainability, what does it mean to you?
Mm-hmm. Well, the very definition of sustainability is taking care of future generations and making sure that they also have the resources and quality of life that we do today. So that's the definition of sustainability. As a term, this term did not even exist 20 years ago. And now in a sentence, you might hear it like 5 or 6 times. There is a very funny graph that says that if we continue to use the word sustainability while we talk, it will become like the only word that we use in a sentence, which is kind of funny. And it starts to also get on people's nerves. But as a concept and a domain, it's something that has fascinated me for years, especially when I started going more in depth into it. And why is that? Because it's something that really touches every single thing that an organization does. And a lot of the indicators that we follow are not new, like health and safety is not something new. It's something that organizations have been paying attention to for a while now. Anti-corruption issues. But with the environment and the climate crisis becoming an emergency, sustainability really took center stage. So a lot of emphasis is placed on environmental issues because of the climate crisis, but we should never forget that social issues are also equally important, if not more important in certain cases. And with certain analysis that we do, we see that actually, especially for organizations that employ high numbers of people, that is usually where they should be focusing their efforts on. And of course, it all starts with governance. So having mentioned the environment, society, and governance, it brings us to this new, popular acronym that we use very often in my profession called ESG. That's provided very useful guidance for organizations on which sustainability issues they should be focusing their attention on.
And it's interesting you say, social impact. From how you describe sustainability, it's a huge umbrella.
Exactly.
Encompassing so many different things. So talk to me a little bit about social impact. When we talk about sustainability and social impact, we also want to discuss our seafarers who are on board. How is that linked?
Well, environmental and social issues are very much interlinked because we're basically trying to save the environment, essentially to save ourselves. Yes. The environment has this magic ability to regenerate. And even if humanity is, becomes extinct, because we're right now going through the 6th massive extinction. Even if humanity is extinct, the planet will still manage to regenerate. Humanity won't, unfortunately. So we're trying to save the environment to save ourselves. And even if we don't take it to that extreme, we're trying to safeguard the quality of our lives, the quality of the air we breathe. The climate is very important to our health. So there are a lot of environmental issues that end up being social issues, and living in a healthy environment has actually now become a basic human right. And there are actually legal cases against states accusing governments that they're not taking enough measures to protect their citizens from the climate crisis, which actually affects their health and their quality of life.
So you've worked with a lot of shipping companies as well, right, to build sustainable strategies. So tell us a little bit about that and how it impacts the seafarers on board.
Well, the shipping industry as a whole is placing a lot of emphasis on decarbonizing the industry. So a lot of investments go into that. But thankfully, COVID-19 has also placed a lot of attention on seafarers' well-being and health and safety in general. So we've seen a lot of shipping companies doing a lot in that area. And I'll give you a few examples. Providing 24/7 mental health support through hotlines, or organizing online yoga classes, or arranging for seafarers to be with their families more frequently, so they're not away from their families for extended periods of time, providing online training for seafarers. All of these things improve the well-being of seafarers, and these are the kinds of things that we look at when we develop social impact strategies for shipping companies.
And Eleni, same thing for you as well. I mean, do these sustainable strategies on board, do they improve the life of the seafarers on board?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that all these strategies have a direct impact on the lives of seafarers because, as we already mentioned, they are basically the center of the maritime industry. So if we don't support their well-being, their health, and basically how they feel, that means that the whole maritime industry won't even be able to be called sustainable, because we can't talk about sustainability if the center is not looked after. So I would say they definitely have a huge impact on the whole well-being and life of seafarers.
Now, mental health and isolation is also a big challenge at sea. This is something that we have also seen in the Seafarers Happiness Index as well. And do you think sustainable initiatives like fair work policies and so on, should they be core to maritime ESG efforts, and why?
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned the happiness index, because I think that's not measuring anything else other than GDP is the root of the problem. We need to rethink how our economies work. So if we only measure GDP, then this is what's causing the problem, because if we want to increase sales, that basically feeds into the problem of overconsumption. Whereas if we shift our attention and look at other indicators, such as how happy are people really in their jobs, in their personal lives, completely changes the way that we look at things. So it's very interesting that you mentioned it. And also investing in employee well-being, whether that's on board or on shore, decreases employee turnover, which is a very high cost for companies. So this is something that shipping companies should pay a lot of attention to. Definitely.
Now we talk about shipping companies. So obviously, let's go a little bit into that. What would you say are some practical ways companies can ensure that human sustainability, especially the well-being of seafarers, is truly prioritized and not just talked about? Are there something that they can do? Should they implement some initiatives and strategies for their crew?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I mean, we mentioned a few already, but there are other indicators that we look at that kind of give the direction for shipping companies on what they could additionally do, apart from increasing the wellness of seafarers. And that's improving working conditions in general. And I think burnout is an issue that we don't talk about very often in the shipping industry. It's kind of like a badge of honor to carry, which nobody talks about. So improving working conditions, improving remuneration, improving the contact that they have with their families, also having the right to collective bargaining and freedom of association. These are things, basic labor provisions that shipping companies should obviously pay attention to. And then we go into human rights, for example, equal opportunities, not just regarding gender, but ethnicity and sexual orientation, etc. And of course, I mentioned before training, investing in seafarers' personal and professional development according to their specific needs, and building on their capacities throughout their careers on board.
So now that you mentioned some of the strategies as well, I want to ask you what sort of metrics should they use when developing corporate social responsibility? What should they look out for?
So definitely, related to some of the metrics that I already mentioned. For example, for training, we look at the average training hours per employee in a fiscal year. To measure gender balance, we look at how many men and women are in a specific position. But it's not enough to show how many in a position. We need to show, are these women employed in top management positions? Are they remunerated equally? So we look at also the gender pay ratio. And then going into things like health and safety, obviously we look at the number of accidents, the lost time due to work-related ill health. So that's the kind of KPIs that we look at under the social pillar.
Now, you've mentioned all of this, and my next question to you is, these strategies, are they easily accepted by ship owners and managers? Because, I have seen interviews where your favorite phrase that I don't know whether it would be considered your favorite phrase, but the phrase is, we have always done it this way. This mindset.
That's my least favorite phrase.
But it's a good challenge, right? So what is your take on this? And do you feel like companies are very behind on this, or do you feel like now people are starting to see the bigger picture? Things are changing. Where are we right now as far as shipping is concerned?
Very interesting question. So I think that transitioning to a green economy in whichever sector the organization operates in. It's about managing change. It's a big change. And this transition needs to be done smoothly, because any change comes with a lot of resistance. So that's why it needs to be done step by step. It's something that affects all departments and all employees within an organization, not just the chief sustainability officer. That's why it needs careful consideration. And very often it's about culture change and behavior change. So that's the most difficult thing to change.
Correct.
I mean, can you remember a time, you probably weren't born then, but I remember a time when nobody wore a seatbelt in the car. Now, I feel like I'm committing a huge crime if I get into my car and the first thing I do is not fasten my seatbelt. So this is a very good example of how we need to manage change and actually end up with that being embedded in the organization's culture until it's in our nature, and we can't think of a life when we did things differently. So that's why I hate the phrase, but we've always done it this way because it's the enemy of change.
Correct.
And sustainability is all about change and managing that change.
Do you feel like in 2025, it's easier to approach companies and it's easier to sell the idea of the importance of having a sustainability strategy?
Look, companies come to us with for different reasons. Some of them come because it's a regulatory requirement that they comply with various ESG-related legislations, or because they think it's good marketing. For us, it's a huge satisfaction when our clients, whatever the reason it is that they came to us, discover the real value of sustainability. And if you work in this field for a while, then it certainly becomes clear that it's a big competitive advantage because as the very word sustainability means, it's about building the company's resilience against external threats and risks. And it's about ensuring business continuity. So what businessman wouldn't want that for their company?
Exactly.
It just makes good business sense.
And now we talk about some of the companies, and at MCTC we work with a lot of ship channelers, right? And these ship channelers, they are providing provisions on board our vessels for our crew. So what role can the ship channelers actually play in supporting not just environmental responsibility, but also the well-being of the crew that they supply?
Okay, so ship chandlers belong in the broader value chain of a shipping company, right? And you've now touched on a very, very important sustainability concept, that of ESG due diligence. What is ESG due diligence? It's about identifying, assessing, and mitigating threats and risks that can be found within this value chain. So the first thing that any company belonging in this value chain must do is to map their own value chain. And the value chain is not just the supply chain. Ship chandlers supply, are usually in the upstream value chain of a shipping company. We must also look at the downstream supply chain. So what happens after we provide our services and products? How is that handled? Is that still done taking into account responsibility and ethics and sustainability? So the first thing that any company must do is to identify its value chain and then do an impact, risk, and opportunity assessment. So this is what we call the double materiality perspective. So on the one side, we look at how an organization impacts the environment and people. And on the other hand, how changes in the environment and society can impact the organization itself in a financial sense. So for example, climate change. How does that impact the organization itself? So once you have that, you basically have a roadmap, and this is the basis of a company's ESG strategy because it tells you the sustainability issues that a company should focus on, because a company can't really do everything. We mentioned so many indicators. Social indicators. There's also environmental indicators and governance indicators. So if a company is going to invest in improving some of their their performance on some of these indicators, they need to have focus. So organizations have started implementing this ESG due diligence. And that's why suppliers play a very big role in this transition, because some of these risks lie outside a company's own operations, in its value chain, its supply chain. So that's why a lot of shipping companies have started to ask ship chandlers and other suppliers to supply them with ESG related information.
Correct.
And suddenly suppliers are, bombarded with terminology and terms that they don't understand. They need to invest resources in training their staff, in employing people that understand these terms, that can collect this data and provide them to their clients, because that's one way of keeping their clients. If they don't supply this information, if they don't transition themselves towards a greener economic business model,
they lose the business.
They lose the business.
Yeah.
So the first thing they need to do is to start getting acquainted. And that's doesn't necessarily mean that it carries a huge cost. A lot of these things can be done organically. There's an abundance of resources, for example, for capacity building programs online around the subject of sustainability and ESG. So it doesn't necessarily mean that making this transition carries a huge cost. In certain cases, it does, but usually for larger organizations. SMEs can do it more organically and using resources that are available out there for them. Another example is the VSME sustainability reporting standard. It's called the VSME because it's voluntary, because SMEs don't fall under the scope of stringent reporting regulations. But this standard provides very clear and simple guidance for SMEs like ship chandlers that want to understand more about this topic and start reporting their performance against ESG KPIs. And there's a very famous saying, you can only understand and make progress on what you measure. So the more information you have on these indicators, that allows you to improve your performance on them. Otherwise, you can't. So it also brings operational improvement. And this is what I love about this topic.
So you would say that, when they sort of invest, even if it's not too much of a cost, eventually, because you have operational benefits from there, you kind of recoup your costs in the long run.
Absolutely.
Right?
And there is scientifically proven evidence that financial and non-financial performance are interlinked because of that reason exactly.
Yes. And I like that you also mentioned about how, if you don't make the change now, especially for big shipping companies and ship managers, their vendor selection process for ESG, could have been 20th in the row. But right now, they've moved it up, maybe to the 4th or 5th criteria that they have to obtain.
Not just maintaining good client relations, but also having access to capital. Because banks and financiers are now looking at sustainability criteria to decide on their financing terms and whether to give out a loan or not, or with what terms. So it also helps SMEs working in the field to have more access to capital. I
think this is one of the biggest challenge with the smaller players, right? For the big ship chandlers, I don't think they will have an issue to have the people to do it. I think the SMEs is it's nice that you shed a bit of light that this is possible, this can be done, even if you're a SME, so you don't have to lose out to the big players in the market. So we want to do a little bit of speed round question. I think this is where we want to just ask you some very key questions. More of a speed round. So, if we are ready, Miss Irene, are you ready for our speed round?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
I was born ready.
We like that. So, first question. What is the most overrated buzzword in sustainability today?
I think that the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, are a highly used term that, in my opinion, at least for companies, businesses and organizations, profit-making organizations, doesn't provide clear-cut guidelines and metrics on how to follow your progress on these indicators. So for me, it's a bit overrated.
That's well said.
That's a very smart answer because regarding the SDGs, many companies say that, for example, they follow the SDGs. But, for example, what do you do in order to follow them? They don't. For example, they might say that they're following a certain goal, but they don't mention what the company is doing in order to actually follow it and support them.
Exactly.
Very nice. No, the next one. One thing ship chandlers should stop doing immediately.
I think stop thinking of the short-term challenges and start focusing on the long-term gains of sustainability.
Well said. One thing they should start doing tomorrow.
Start measuring ESG data and KPIs.
If you've been listening, this is what you should have been doing. Now, the biggest myth about sustainability in shipping.
It's not all about emissions. There are so many other things that a company can do around ESG and sustainability.
What's more powerful, regulation or reputation?
Well, the two are definitely interlinked. So companies should do it anyway because of so many other benefits that that come with following a sustainable development strategy. So do it anyway, whether it's to comply with the regulation or because you want to keep your reputation. But it's not just about reputation. There are so many other competitive advantages that come with sustainability.
Well said. So, an industry you think shipping should borrow ideas from?
So shipping is very good at following rules. And some of the indicators that we're following now as part of sustainability have been there for a very, very long time. But the shipping industry is not great at innovation, I think, and being the first industry to apply. They're not, so they don't adapt that easily. I think one of the industries that has done that very well, and it might sound strange, but the oil and gas industry has been one of the first sectors to actually transition to more sustainable options. And they are the biggest investors in renewable energy because they knew decades ago that if they didn't do that, they would become obsolete. Also, another example is the agriculture sector. Agriculture has come up with a lot of innovation around sustainability, such as vertical gardens and regenerative agriculture. So I think there's a lot to learn from these two sectors.
I'm a bit surprised because I would have thought you would have said, and this is what most people would have said, aviation.
Aviation, right? Although they're focusing on sustainable aviation fuels, and they've been doing that for a few decades. So we haven't really seen like a big innovation other than sustainable aviation fuels.
Speaking of innovation, what is the most exciting sustainable innovation you've seen lately?
Very nice question. It's not an innovation per se, it's more an innovative concept. And I think that is looking at the planet as a silent stakeholder. So because the planet doesn't have a voice, who gives the planet a voice to tell us that we are in serious trouble and we really need to do something? That's scientific research. that's environmental NGOs. So when developing an ESG strategy, that is where we sustainability consultants turn to give the planet a voice.
Wow, I really like that term, a silent stakeholder.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept.
Yeah. So a social issue the maritime industry doesn't talk about enough.
I think we mentioned it previously. I think it's burnout. Yeah. Seafarers and shipping professionals in general carry that with pride when they shouldn't. We need to pay a lot more attention to boundaries when we focus on seafarer well-being and shipping professionals in general, not just seafarers.
Now, next question. What's a sustainability buzzword you secretly love and one you wish people would just retire?
I really love the word resilience because I think it really embodies the whole point of sustainability. And I think I've already mentioned I'm not too fond of the term SDGs. And ESG professionals are crazy about acronyms. And that's one
we love a good acronym.
Yeah, that's one that I wish I didn't hear that often.
Okay. So one word you'd use to describe the future of maritime sustainability.
I think that word for me would be just. That means fair. Because we don't just need a green transition. We need that transition to be fair and accessible to all, taking into account everyone's rights.
Very nice. Wow. Irene, thank you so much for shedding so much of light in the field of sustainability within the shipping industry and how it has a social impact. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Now, that wraps up this episode of CalmWaves. We hope today's discussion has shed some light with regards to sustainability and the social impact it has on our seafarers on board. At MCTC, we're committed for a more sustainable future within the maritime industry. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, whatever you do on your socials. We look forward to seeing you in our next episode. And in the meantime, if you're on shore or ashore, stay inspired, stay safe, and we'll see you at the next episode of CalmWaves, a podcast by MCTC. Thank you.